Hi guys, it's good to see you guys again today. I'm super happy to be in today's live, although it was almost cancelled because I had like a really long day today. But I'm glad that we're in a class and we should get this going. Let's go, guys. So I'm going to share my Visual Studio Code. Just a minute. When I do this, I'll come over here. I want to open the page, our web page on the other side. So guys, remember and do not forget that I already gave an assignment that we should start assignment. And guys, make sure you do the assignment. If you want to be very active in this class, you have to follow up, do the assignment. Follow us on our Instagram page. This is our Instagram page, K.R.A _code _chronicles. If you're not following us on our Instagram page, please do, because it's going to be really good for everyone. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe, because it's going to be very interesting if you subscribe. So you cannot just be watching our video and you haven't subscribed to our channel. So for our sake and for your sake, it's advisable that you subscribe to the channel so that you can get first-hand notification when we are live. And you can easily send me email. If you're sending me email and I see that you're subscribed to the channel, I'll definitely respond quickly to any of the questions that you would have. So guys, yesterday we stopped at padding, and we also did height and how to set height, length in CSS. So today we are going to discuss box model. So I'm going to write on the charts so that you actually see what I'm talking about. We're going to discuss box model. Oh, first, hello. I'm so sorry that I started late. We had a very busy day today, almost cancelled, but I was like, no, we are going to still show up. So box model, this is what we are going to be talking about now. So I would like to ask, what is box model, and how and when can we use box model in CSS? How can we use box model in CSS? Remember that I taught you padding, margin. So now if you understand what padding and margin is, you can actually wrap your head around what box model is. So first, do you have any idea what box model is? Any idea at all? What box model is? Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm asking you what box model is. Do you have an idea? When someone discuss, say, first, do you have an idea of box model in CSS? What comes to your head? What comes to your mind? Oh, my battery is a bit low. Yeah, margin and padding. Oh, that's very great. Just give me a minute because our charger app, the computer is a bit low and I forgot the charger. Padding and margin. So margin. So how and when can we use this in CSS? How and when can we use this in CSS? I already gave an example from yesterday. Yes. Yes, thank you so much. You have to use the div container. Maybe you can decide that a certain thing that you want to, a text or something that you want to work on, you can decide to put everything in a div container, and then you can use the padding or the margin to actually like padding and margin to actually set what you want your box model to be like. You can decide to put the text in the middle. I gave an example from yesterday. I'm going to stop sharing and share the other side of the, yes, thank you, and share the other side of the screen so that I can show you. Yes, box sizing, and show you what I'm trying to talk about. Remember that we were writing our text yesterday. I don't know if you can see this part of the screen. When we were writing our text yesterday, this part of the text was going outside the box. But because we actually use padding and we're able to set this space by the left side to 80, and we set this space by the right side to 30 using padding, and then we set the up side and the downside. I think we use 50 pixels. If I cannot really remember. I have to go check the code from yesterday to know what we actually did here. So this is what, and then why our stuff is in like oval shape is because we actually set the radius of the border using border radius. So now the only difference that we made here is that we did not put all this stuff in a container, but we actually used, I think we used class. We called this by class. Yeah, we called this by class, and we're able to like style this part and the join parts because we're actually using class one, two. And that way we're able to give the page this kind of shape. This is not the most beautiful shape ever, but this is very ugly and disorganized, I know, but I'm actually teaching you how to make a page. And that's why, yes, example of one of the work I worked with some students last time, and I gave an a oh, your screen is black. Why is my screen always black? Um, so can you see my screen now? If you can see my screen, please say yes on the chat so that I know that you can actually see my screen. Hi, Brenda. Good day. How you doing? I don't know who the last person is on the live, but you can actually introduce yourself. You can just write. I know Brenda, I know Force. I don't know who the other person is, but I'm saying hi. Thank you for joining today. Guys, can you see my screen? If you can, please say yes. Okay, thank you, Brenda. If you can see my screen, please say yes. Okay, I see Brenda says yes. Okay, so I was talking about the text yesterday was going outside the box. The text yesterday was going outside the border. It was going this way. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. But when we set the padding, we set the left side to be 80 and the right side to be 30. And that way, we're able to make sure that the text actually fits well in the border. And then why it's this shape is because we actually use border radius. But the only difference here is that we did not call this in a div container. We actually called it using a class because we actually styled this first one and then we styled John. I remember that I gave a class name. Let me go back to the code so I can. Okay, so our class name is called Brenda. So that's why I remember that at the beginning of CSS, I told you how to call a class using the um, stuff before the name that you gave to the container or the place that you want to style. For example, if you go down, I'm going to stop sharing and share the coding part of the screen so that you understand what I'm trying to say. If you go down here, over here, I called this H2 by class. Remember among our first class, we actually did H2. I called it by class and I named it Brenda. And then I called this div here by class and I also named it Brenda. And you see, when I style it once, it's going to affect this one and it's also going to affect this H2. And that's why you see that those two things were actually affected. And the difference between calling something by class and calling something by ID is that you can use class in multiple situations, but ID, you are only using it when you are using it once. So guys, if you have any question or you are just joining our class for the first time and you are lost, please you can ask on the chat and I'll be open to answer those questions for you. So while we move forward, I'm very excited that a lot of people know what margin and padding is and how we can actually use this in CSS. I also taught you how to check the height. You can check the height of what you want your page to be like. I taught that yesterday. And check the width. The width is the length this way, while the height is this way. So you can actually check the height and the width of your CSS, of your page, sorry. Now, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is text. So when we talk about text, what comes in your mind when we bring the word text? What comes in your mind when you hear the word text? What do you think of? What comes in your head? And how can we use text in CSS? So remember that I already gave example of how to write text in CSS using the heading parts for H1 to H6 and using the paragraph parts from using the paragraph parts whereby you can write whatever you want in a paragraph, right? And then you can actually style them using block quotes, I for it to italicize, B to bold, and small to make some part of the stuff very small. So aside that, now how do we style this text? You know, you can actually fix your text to be in a particular color or way. Do you want us to make our text green? Do you want us to make our text purple? What way do you want our text to actually look like or be like in CSS? So now this is where we come in and explain these things to you. So now what we are going to do, remember I taught you different kind of coloring. I taught you hex, I taught you RGB, and I taught you the normal color that you all know. And you know the difference between hex and RGB. So now I'm going to try to style our H3. Let's see. So our H3, we have John. What if we change this H3 from John to be like day 3 CSS class? Today is not day 3, today is day 4, sorry. Day 4 CSS class. And we would be learning about text and how to style it using CSS. So guys, if you have a question, please write on the chat because I just want to make sure that everybody is actually following what I am saying. If you have a question, please write on the chat. I don't want to be talking to myself or be talking and nobody understand what I am saying. So now I am going to stop sharing and share the other side of the screen so that you see that what I did is actually reflected on the other side of the screen. Over here, when I load this, when you come down here, sorry. Yeah, so I'm trying to, yeah. So this is our H3 over here, and we see that the color for this is pink. So we can actually change the color of this H3 from pink to green, blue, black, purple. So let's change the color to purple. So what we are going to do is that we are going to call this by ID, an ID name. And since we have force in the class, I'm going to make sure, because it's always consistent on our life, I'm going to actually call that H3 by force. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come here, I'll write ID, I'll call by ID, and then I'll put force. So this way I've actually called this by force. So when I want to style under the CSS, what I just need to do is to come over here and put the hashtag here, because when you're calling by ID, you're putting the hashtag, and then I'll just put force. And I'll open, I don't know, I've forgotten the name of this bracket. Guys, if you can remember the name, you let me know. And then I'll just go color. Right? And because I want to put a very unique color, so I'll just go and just search. And What if I name this, put this in red? No, red is not, crimson is not too good for me. Let's say purple. I don't know, for the sake of purple, let's put this in purple. Yep. So now we've actually styled only the H3 because we actually wanted to work on only H3. We can actually change, we can even put background color for just that H3. What if we put a background color of, I don't know what this color is, but we can actually use it. So when we go to our H3, when we go to our H3, right, we're going to see that this stuff only affects H3 and doesn't affect any part of the page. So for you to be able to understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to stop sharing and share the other side of the page so that you can see what I am talking about. And I'm not going to on time. So remember, guys, this is our H3 and we haven't actually loaded the page. So when we load it, you can see that only H3 got affected. You can see that no other part of the page, you didn't see any of these places having purple, or I don't know, is this aqua green or whatever. It's only the H3 that is affected, and that's the importance of calling something by ID. So in CSS, it gives you the room to design your page the best way that you possibly can. It gives you the styling virtue, the uniqueness to put your signature. Yes, I am using a very small screen first. My screen for now is very small, and I tried on the first class. It's going to be kind of very invisible for you to see if I split the screen into two. So that's why we're going like this until we get a bigger screen. I explained this to you. I think this is the second time I'm explaining this. We're using a small screen for now, and we're waiting for our bigger screen to come. Once it's done, we can be able to split our screen. I did it. Okay, I'll do it again so that you can see what I'm talking about. Just a minute. And then this side. So I'm going to stop sharing and share the other side of the screen so you see what I'm talking about. First, this will be so small for everybody to actually view. Is this not too small for you? If it's not, we can actually use it. But if it's okay, why not? What do you think? Nah, I don't think I feel comfortable with it. I would prefer a bigger screen to actually put it side to side. Okay, Brenda said it's okay. Okay, so I'll put the other window by the left so you can see. No. So guys, is this better for you? If it's better, please say yes on the chat. If it's not okay for you, you can say no. If this is better, please say yes. Sorry. If I go back to the window, it's going to open because I'm sharing an entire screen. If it's okay, please say yes. Hell yeah. Okay, thank you so much for us. So it's be hard for me to come back here to see the comment that you guys had on the chat because it's going to go like this on the call. Oh, thank you so much. So just a minute. So let's continue from where we stopped. So we're talking about styling using ID, like a class by ID, and we spoke about styling force, and I feel like everybody loved it. And I'm happy with the improvement. We are going to manage the screen like this until we are able to get something bigger. So still on text, we're able to style our text this way. We're able to style the background color. And I think that's it about text. Aside this, you can also do text, like you can align your text, like text align. Where do you want to see this? Maybe we can put our text to be in the center of the page. And when we load the page again, we are going to see that our CSS text actually moved to the center of the page. And that's it about text align. So now we're going to talk about um, text decoration. Guys, when you talk about text decoration, what comes to your mind? Please write on the chat so that I know what you're talking about. I know that you're actually following me. When we talk about text decoration, what kind of decoration can we give our text? And how good do you think it's going to come out? You can choose a decoration for us and then we can actually try it out. I'm putting this open like this so you can actually see some of the decoration that you can actually use. Test decoration. I can see Force. I can see Brenda on the live. Please, if you have any idea of what test decoration is, please write on the chat so that we can actually go ahead and use it. This test decoration and how can we use it on our live, on our web page. Force, Brenda, anybody? Okay, so now let's assume that we want to decorate our text and we want to make it dotted. So we can just use the word dotted. And I'm using dotted for our H3 now. So when you do it like this, it actually didn't work. So let's make this bold. Dashed. So this is actually not working here. And another means that we can actually try is, let's say, overline. Okay, so we can see that we actually use overline for our text decoration and actually brought the text up this way. There's a line over here. I don't know how I can highlight this part so you can see it. You can see that the black line coming before the background, aside the background color. So what is going to happen is I'm going to comment out the background color so that you understand what I'm talking about. So I'll load the page. So guys, you see what I'm talking about. This way now there is an overline above our text. This can also come in your web page. Maybe you are making a web page and you want like series of line. You can actually use the text decoration to actually put a line. Maybe let us try another text decoration of underline. Text decoration, underline. When we load this like this, we can see that the line comes beneath the text. So this is all about CSS. CSS is all about beautification and craft. If you're good in aesthetics, you can be able to make a good CSS stuff. You can actually use thickness. What if we use the word thickness for text decoration? Thick. This version of Visual Studio Code do not have it, so I think that's it for now about text decoration. And then another part we can actually try is text transformation. When we talk about text transformation in CSS, what comes to your mind? When we say text transformation, what comes to your mind, guys? If you have an idea, please write on the chat. Brenda, Force, and the other people who are watching. Okay, thank you so much, Force. I can see the comment that you have over there. Overline, underline, red, try this. Okay, okay, this is very good. Force. So when we talk about text transformation, what are we talking about? Force, Brenda, and other two people who are watching. Text transformation. When we talk about text transformation in CSS, what are we actually talking about? Guys, if you have like an answer to this, please, I would be grateful. just to make sure that everybody is actually following me. Text transformation. Text transformation in CSS and how can we use it? Okay, if nobody is saying anything for the meantime, then I'll just go ahead. Okay, thank you so much, Brenda. I can see upper and lower case. So we can actually use text transformation when we want to talk about the upper and the lower case of our text. And I'm going to give you guys an example so that you actually see what I'm talking about. So let's say we want to turn this stuff to like an uppercase, totally uppercase. So we'll just come here and do text transformation. Yeah, just take off. I'll just put overline here. Mm. And then take this off and put text transformation. And then I'll use capitalized. So now when I load this, you can see that our text actually turned from the normal way that it was and it became capitalized. And imagine that I take this off. I'm going to take this off so that you can actually see the difference. For those who are not seeing, this is what our text looked like before. And when we put it in a capitalized form and you load it, it becomes like this. We can actually use it to write like lowercase alphabet. So this is what we use text transformation for, and this is how we can actually use it in CSS. So you can see that everything here is lowercase, and then we can actually use it for uppercase also. When you load this here, you can see that everything is actually in uppercase. So this is what when we talk about text transformation, this is what we mean in CSS. So now another thing again that I'm going to talk about is text spacing. When we talk about text spacing in CSS, we are talking about the space that you want in between your text. And can you tell me the tag that we use in writing text spacing in CSS? When we talk about text spacing, what is the tag that we use in writing text spacing in CSS? I hope I am not misfiring here. When we talk about text spacing in CSS, what is the tag that we actually use? Can you please write? First by when we talk about text spaces in CSS, what do we actually mean and what is the tag that we can actually use when we talk about text spacing in CSS? Okay, so when we talk about text spacing, one of the word that we can actually use when we want to make space in our CSS format is we can use text indents. So now we have to set how many pixels, how many percent, how many number of space we want on our text. So I'm going to use 50 pixels and see. This is a space of trial and error. Let's say, okay, we use like 100. Let's see how many spacing will come in when we use 100 pixels. Something that you can actually see the difference. You see that when we speak of 100 pixels, it actually goes inward very well. When we talk, okay, let's remove pixels and actually use percent, 100%. When we load this, you can see how they actually expand and the spacing in a text is very much spacious. So this is what we talk about when we use text spacing. And text spacing is literally almost the same thing when we are talking about when we're talking about this later spacing is actually kind of different because now we are not just talking about the entire text, now we're talking about the alphabet in the text. So in order for you to understand what I'm talking about, I'm just going to come over here and set this to, let me just say 15 pixels. Let's use 15 pixels so that you understand what I'm trying to say. And I load the page. You can see that there is a lot of space in between the text. So if I don't want the space to be that much, I can just reduce it and put like 5. And you see this is also very fine. Or maybe I can just put 2 pixels and see how, depending on your preference. That's why I say CSS has to do with an individual style. And I think this 2 pixels is much more like preferable when it comes to when it comes to CSS. So guys, we have 3 minutes more for it to be 7 p.m. here in Canada, 8 p.m. in Brazil, and 12 a.m. in Nigeria. So because we started the class late and we don't want to keep anyone awake because we don't know those who are going to be going to work tomorrow, we're actually going to end here. And then tomorrow, we are going to start from text shadow, and then we are going to also treat font. But before we end today's class, I want to remind you guys about our assignments that I gave. In the assignment, I'm also going to bring out the sample test that I'm talking about. So I'm just going to come down here and open the page so that everyone can actually see. 1 minute, guys. So guys, if you are not seeing this, I want you to actually see this. Guys, this is the assignments that I want you to do to create a web page using border, padding, margin, images, text, and paragraph. Remember that I also taught you how to use H1, H2, and the rest. So, and also I taught you how to do colors and background color. If you can make something simple like this, choose a movie of your choice and try to create a very simple landing page for us. And then you can complete the tasks, send me an email, and also tag us on Instagram. So the name of our Instagram page is K.R.A underscore chronicles. So guys, remember that whatever that you are doing doesn't have to be perfect because you are still learning. But when you send it to me, I'll help you to evaluate it and tell you where you need to improve. You can use this page as a guide for you. And I'll be writing details about the assignment on our main Instagram page. So in case you cannot remember that you have to make a table. If you don't know how to make a table, you can watch any of our previous videos. If you don't know how to make borders and padding, we just treated that like 2 days ago, so you can actually make it. I'm sure everybody here knows how to make H1 to H6. If you don't know how to do that, you can actually watch our previous video, and everybody know how to use the paragraph tag for writing text. If you cannot use that, you can also check our previous video. Make a web page, a landing web page, and tag us on Instagram, and we'll help you to repost. And if there's any correction that you need, we'll actually make those corrections for you so that you can actually improve. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on our today's live. And I actually apologize for joining in late, but I'm grateful that you guys still turned up. And I wish you all a great evening. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.